Hi, I'm Gary. Halloween is upon us. Why not bake a carven pumpkin and serve it to your friends? It's a trick-or-treater's paradise. It's easy to bake. Come and watch. Happy Halloween!
Welcome to Healthy Vegan Living, a whole food plant-based lifestyle.
And we're using this knife to go through so we can take the head off. And making a larger hole than normal so I can reach the inside of the pumpkin and carve it. And just remember to always watch out where your fingers are at. Okay, so you see all the pulp. We're going to save the seeds. We're going to cut this one up in the oven at 350 degrees for 1 hour. So what I did is I cut the top of the head off. As you can see, I was able to cut off a small slice of it, and we'll be able to bake this in the oven. So these pieces, you just have to cut off this portion here. See how it's got a little bit of its orange tint? Just take that off. We're putting this in a flat pan, and we're just going to cook it this way. We're cooking the pumpkin with the skin on. Now this is a standard carving pumpkin, so we're not going to eat the skin like we would if we were using a pie pumpkin, like this. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're cutting the pumpkin in half. I'm not scraping any of it. It'll be a lot easier to scrape. See how we're breaking it in half? And I put this to the side here. And I'm going to use a large spoon, and I'm just scraping everything out of it. And we're saving the seeds in the sink. And I'm putting all the seeds in it. See how stringy it is? That's what most people don't like about these pumpkins. If you use your hands, then we're going to scrape it dry, scrape it and get these strands off before we cut it up and put it away in the oven. We're going to do the same thing for the other side. We're just going to grab it, and you do much better if you use a spoon. So there you take your spoon and you're just scraping. You don't have these strings when you're using the pie pumpkin. You still have something to scrape off, but it's not this pronounced. And probably at this point it might be easier to just cut it in half again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to scrape off the remaining fiber off the pumpkin using the large spoon. I'm going to take all this stuff, there's any seeds, and throw it in a bag. Then we're going to cut these into wedges. I'm going to show you two different ways I'm going to cook this pumpkin. Now I do use oil in this pumpkin. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right here in half. There's a nice piece. And again in half. And then we're just going to assemble them on our tray. And I'm not really into uniform pieces. I like character, so I like all my pieces to be different sizes. This is the other side, that's getting difficult. Then we take our knife, a serrated long knife, and we just chop it in half. And this is a perfect Halloween party tray. And you can see you have a full tray, and we still have half the pumpkin to go. So for right now, I'm just going to lay it over the top while I prepare another sheet. These pumpkins were grown in California. Use good quality olive oil. Pour a little bit on the brush, and all you're doing is just putting a really light layer of oil. It's not going to permeate and stick inside of your pumpkin. And when you stick it in the oven, you set it for 350 degrees for 1 hour. I'm going to show you, you can cook it top ways. You see how this one's more bent? You can flip it over. And if you do that, it's like steaming it. This one's a little bent. You're steaming that vegetable, in this case the pumpkin. And you're going to do this for all of the pumpkins, the entire piece. You see how this one's bent? Flip it over. It's going to cook itself. Any of them that are bent, flat ones, you might as well leave them up. And you'll see in an hour, they'll be a little different. And you'll have to pick them up carefully. So you don't want to, you'll still be able to pick them up. Just don't scrape the aluminum with your spatula and you'll be fine. Okay, so I'm going to get this all done and I'll come back to you and I'll show you how I season it. I use Lawry's garlic salt and I try to get all the sides. On these flat pieces, I salt all the way around. And of course you would salt this to your preference. Another thing I like to use is spike of vegetation in it, dill and everything. And I'll have a link to it on the comment section to see whether it's something you want to use or not. Okay, so this does this tray. Another way to season it is to use granulated onions. You don't need very much of this. Another good seasoning is to use oregano. Okay, so here, I'm going to hang on to the oil so you don't have to worry about it falling off. When I come back, it should be all cooked and I'll show you what you do with it next. So you can see that the oven is at 350 degrees. It's 1:42 in the afternoon. And the pumpkin squash is on the shelves. It's time to check the oven. It's been 45 minutes. Pulling out the tray, use a normal fork. See how the fork goes inside? Nice, all the way through. That's how you know it's ready. Here comes these ones that have been steamed, flip them over. They go all the way through. So the bottom tray is ready. Take the bottom tray and carefully move it to the top of your stove top. Now let's check the top tray. Same thing. Fork goes all the way down. Flip over these that have been steamed. The fork goes down all the way on all of them, even the steam ones. Same thing. You see both trays are together. We're going to let this cool. Turn off your oven. 45 minutes. Of course, temperatures might change depending on your oven. So you have to test it out. You have to be in the kitchen while you're cooking it and to check it. This meal is ready to go. Let it cool, put it away in your refrigerator until dinner time. Okay, so the pumpkin now is cooled. Take a plastic bag, just pick it up and put it inside. Now my fridge is full right now, which is why I'm using a plastic bag. I can always put a plastic bag of food someplace in the fridge. And it's all ready to go in the fridge. What does this really taste like? Well, I just took a bite of it, and to me it tastes like squash. But I think it's just delicious. And I've got plenty here for a party for the night. Okay, so what's the big deal? You see, these are perfectly cooked, and they cooked on the top. But these over here, that we're flipping over, are also cooked. And what's the difference is that these were steamed. So this tastes a little bit of this. Doesn't taste any different than the ones that were cooked on the top. Once these cooled, put them in the bag, stick them in the fridge. So I just finished bagging these. I'm going to seal them, and I'm going to put them in our fridge and pull them back out later and serve them for my party tonight. Perfect Halloween treat. Hi, I'm Gary. It's Halloween and you're watching Goblins and Ghost Stories. Why not make pumpkin seeds as a snack while watching zombies snack on your friends? It's easy to bake in the oven, and it's a good source of fiber too. Happy Halloween! After the pumpkin has been carved and put outside for the trick-or-treaters, my treat are these seeds. Of course, I do have to pull away the flesh away from the seeds, and that's going to take some time. And I usually use some kind of plastic bag or whatever I might have available in the kitchen to help me store the seeds, because I don't want this in my kitchen trash can to bring unsightly bugs. Even though it's cold outside, you do always have to think about the little rodents that need to eat. So I'll be back in a little bit and I'll show you the next step. And you're going to separate these seeds from the fiber, from the pumpkin fiber. And it takes a little bit of time. But the seeds, once they're roasted in the oven for about half an hour at 350 degrees, cooked with the garlic, salt, and spike, they taste really good. They can stay in your refrigerator up to a week. It never lasts that long in my house. It's a little bit labor intensive, but I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. And then I usually put them in the sink, and then I run water over it, and I try to find the other pieces of fiber that I don't want. This bag is 2 carving pumpkins. Oh, and a banana. And eggs. But it gives you an idea that that's about what you're talking about. You're losing this much weight. It's about 2 pounds. Okay, so come back in a little bit, and then I'll show you what you do with the seeds next. Alright, now all the seeds have been cleaned and are being placed in this pan. They'll be going in the oven next, but before I do that, I season them. Today we're going to use oregano. Okay. Give it a mild Italian flavor. Okay. This is a green, it's called spike. They'll be in the comments section below. Baking the seeds. This is garlic salt, Lawry's garlic salt. You'll be scraping the seeds off the bottom of the pan and flipping them over, because they're going to be sort of wet. It's going to take a while for the moisture to all dissipate. Alright, so we'll see you in a little bit. Set your timer for 15 minutes. Come back, scrape it down, flip it all around. I'll show you how it's done. It's been 15 minutes using a spatula and an oven mitt. See, you can still see some moisture on them even after 15 minutes. Now, you notice I removed the aluminum foil. That was just for presentation. You're just going to move them around. You shouldn't need to re-season them, but if you think that they need more seasoning, you just apply more spike, or you could put more garlic salt on them. There's a lot of them in this pan. So I'm scraping it, making sure nothing sticks to the bottom, and then I put them back over. Same thing up here, scrape it, and move it flat. If you don't have enough, you can always buy more of these at Sprouts. They're very reasonable. They're bleach white, they won't be this color, but they make a nice party tray. Back in the oven. The beeper just rang. Use the spatula, and still a little bit of moisture in them. So we're gonna scrape them down like we did before. And the reason why is there's 2 full pumpkin syrup seeds. That's a lot for the moisture to evaporate. I'm gonna flatten it down. So the initial time was 15 minutes, and it looks like it's gonna take maybe another 10 minutes to really get them down. There's crispiness that I like. Make sure it's centered, push it back in, close the oven door. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Okay, so the timer rang again. So these seeds are completely dry on top of the stove top, and then I'm going to transfer them to plastic dishes or party trays for tonight. Don't forget to turn off the oven. Hi, I'm Gary. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click the circle on the right side of your screen to subscribe for more organic cooking, or click the rectangular box upper right side of your screen to see my expanded playlist. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Thank you for watching.